Your Southern California Honda dealers, Chris McGee, James Worthy, Robert Ory. We've got Allie Clifton over here. You'll hear from her soon. We got Brez and Trudell working the locker room. Guys, the Lakers get back to 500 at Staples Center. They get the win over the Chicago Bulls. Was an easy big game, but they shot 51% from the field, 41% from three, and scored 117 points and won by 2. Fun game, entertaining game, as long as you win.
I enjoyed watching the entire game. It was a fun game to watch. You knew on a back-to-back game that the Lakers were going to be challenged without AD, and Rob said it in the pregame show. He said it was going to take a very good bench tonight, and that's what they came up with. You know, Chicago, young, their young team playing hard. You know, they got a lot to prove. They came in here and played well, but I thought the bench, I thought the defense in spurts was really well, and I know Rob is going to talk about Montrezl Harrell, so I'll save that for him.
He's got a big old smile on his face, doesn't he?
That's his boy.
That was your
man.
That was your pick.
Yeah, it's amazing how when you use a guy, what they can do. Montrez is one of those type of guys. He's just a gritty, grimy guy who's going to score points in the paint, gets offensive rebounds, and I'm going to use James where he's just like to muck up stuff. And when he's doing that, he's really efficient. If you look at what he does in the paint, he never jumps that high unless he's trying to dunk. But he does a little quick jump shot that goes in that nobody can stop. So I'm happy for him tonight.
Seals,
I need to see more
he
of
gets
this.
position. Who was your take-your shot for the people in the back?
I had Dennis.
Oh, I thought you had Montrezl Harrell.
Didn't you have Montrez?
Nah.
Who had Trez?
Crusoe.
No one had Trez?
No, I had Trez.
We took
Man,
him.
I should have taken Trez, man.
I can't be like Allie and pick the same guy all the
I
time.
thought for sure you took him. All right, let's hear from Trez. He's with Mike Trudell. I thought for sure you took him.
Hey, Montrez, how about that play call to just get Dennis Schroeder the ball and let him run around to kill the clock there? What you think of that final play, man?
Hey, when you got a play that moves that fast and, with such a high speed and velocity that Dennis moves at, and you could just, kill the clock without even have to, really shoot free throws or any, mishaps coming to the game, man. Hey, we'll take it.
Hey, no Anthony Davis tonight, and you were really eating inside, especially in the second half. What was your mindset coming into this one, Montrez, against the Bulls?
Just playing hard, man. Same thing my mindset is every night. Trying to make the game as easy as I can for my teammates. And definitely just standing around the rim on the offensive glass. On the defensive presence, man, they hit a lot of shots tonight, man. Some tough ones, some we had defensive breakdown, coverages and things like that, but I feel like they hit a lot of tough shots tonight. But, we hung in there, we fought all the way to the end, and we came out with a big-time win. We didn't want to come on and lose 2 in a row, so we definitely just toned in the way we wanted to do and came out with a win.
Hey, you guys haven't had a lot of possession-by-possession crunch time games so far this season. What's it like being on the court with LeBron? Obviously one of the best to ever do it in that situation. What did you see from him down the stretch?
He's a winner, man, a closer. A guy who knows how to play this game, and he knows, almost – I'm not even going to say almost. I feel like he knows everything and, everywhere everyone's supposed to be, both offensively and defensively. So he's definitely going to go down as one of this game's greats. And, when you're on the floor with somebody like that, you can't help but feed off the energy and all the tenacity and the different things, charisma that he brings to the game, man. So, he's our leader. We was down a leader today in AD, man, but Bron did a great job, came out here and led us, and, we got to win.
All right, last thing for you. You're somebody that's always thrived off the crowd. How do you still find a way to bring that energy and give your team a lift off the bench when you can't look up there and get the response to the screams that you have after a rebound or a putback or whatever?
It's still the same exact energy because my teammates are in here, man. These guys are rooting for me, man. Everybody that's on that sideline as far as coaching staff and, the medical staff that we have alongside our camp, man. So it's still that same type of energy, man. We got to create our own energy in a lot of these places because, they don't have fans. We may go to a couple of cities that have fans, but majority of the nights is going to be like this. So I try to be the one that brings that energy. And just like I said, I hope my teammates do a great job of feeding off me, and usually they do.
All right, Trez, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, good stuff, Mike. Montrezl Harrell, let's talk him right off the bat, and then we'll talk a little LeBron as well. You guys mentioned the bench, 41 points. They were huge. Montrez, 17 and 14, 7 of 13. It's those 7 offensive boards, too, James. And you talked about how he gets shots up so quick. He just knows how to use his body. He seals. He's got good hands. But tonight it was the effort, the coming over from from the weak side, blocking a shot.
Disruptor. And when you develop a style of game like he has, you get away with a lot of physical play. He gets, not that he fouls, but he is extremely physical. And what he does is he uplifts a team. When you miss a shot, you're down 2 or something, you miss a shot and you get an extra possession. My phone's going off, Rob. You get an extra possession, it just uplifts the team. And now that they see, I saw him in Louisville. He used to tear my Tar Heels up. He was the vocal part of the offense. They used to go to him, and those ISO moves is what he's good at. And I think they give him 4 or 5 of those plays a game, they're going to get some big production out of him. He reminds me of Dennis Rodman. He's just going to outwork you. You'd rather play somebody who scores like a scorer who takes time off. Montrez doesn't take a play off, and it makes it impossible to guard him.
You know, Rob, you always bring up a great point. We have fun with it. You do talk about Montrezl Harrell a lot, but when they do feed him and he does get going and you just give him a few opportunities, then you see what happens the rest of the game. He's a guy that's going to work on both ends. He's not selfish. He's going to get extra opportunities. He's not asking for the ball, but if you can run some things for him and get him a few easy ones, he's going to have one of those games every night.
We call it, you got to give a little sugar every now and then to make him work even harder. With Montrez, sometimes I'm like giving the ball, but he's still working hard. I haven't seen him take any plays off, and so that's where my love for him comes, because there's many times where he rolls, he's open, he doesn't get the ball. He hasn't complained once, at least I haven't seen it. And that's what you have to respect about a guy. He's still going to go out there and work and try to get offensive rebound, try to set good pick and rolls, and just be a good team player. When you have a guy who's a workhorse like that, and he has a particular skill set, you have to exploit that skill set. And his skill set in the paint is like no other. You
know, as we move over to LeBron James, I feel like we run out of ways to talk about him. But when you do watch him every single night, you see that, you know, here he is with 28 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists, but he's 0 for 5 from 3 tonight. So he does it another way. Now he's hitting turnaround jumpers in the corner, or he's getting into the paint. Lakers were desperate for a bucket, only up 2. Gets to the paint, gets fouled. Missed the free throw. He was 6 of 8 tonight. But still, James, he
took over the game when he needed to. He realized that they needed to get Wes Matthews involved, made some nice dimes. His first shot, get him a shot. Then you see what happened after that, going to the bucket in the post. That's something that LeBron has added to his game that he didn't always do a lot of. He goes out in that post, little jump hooks and things like that, collapsing the defense. He's a smart player. And, like, I don't think he had 100% of his energy tonight, but he still produced enough to carry his team.
You know what? There's a play in the first half where he drove, and he could have put the shot up, but he kicked the Kuz in the corner for a 3. And I'm sitting there saying to myself, there is not one megastar in the league that's not a point guard that wouldn't try to get that shot up, because it's the end of the clock. That's like a free play. You know, if you check out Kuz, at the end of the clock, Kuz going to shoot that ball regardless of what's going on.
Yeah.
But LeBron had the presence of mind to kick it out for a wide open 3, and the guy knocked it down. And that's what you have to love about him. He's not a selfish ball player. He's a guy who's trying to make his teammates better, and he's trying to get them involved. And that's one of the things that so many people criticize him about. But, yo, I would have loved to play for this guy because he's going to make everybody on his team better.
And just to show you just how connected this team is, there was a few minutes when LeBron went out of the game, if I'm not mistaken. And it was critical, and they still kept it together. They went to Montrez.
They actually had a nice run.
They had a nice run, and they increased the lead, I think, from that point. So you know that's team building, and, you know, LeBron has, you know, injected that mentality into his teammates. And I thought it was a really good span when he was out of the game for them to keep the lead and keep playing the way they were.
All right, well, let's get you to the highlights.
They go to the cut. Montrez cut him off, and he had to pull up for a quick jumper. I don't think it was the most comfortable one, but I thought good defense down the stretch.
Final score, 117-115. As Big Game said, a fun, entertaining game. Loved watching it. Lakers are 7-3 through 10 games this season. LeBron led the way with 28 points. Zach LaVine, 38 for the Bulls. Montrez, 17 and 14. Schroeder with 17. Let's hear from Frank Vogel. He's speaking with Mike in the media.
Hey, Frank, how much credit do you get for that brilliant game-ending play when Schroeder was fast?
Well, that's one of the areas we want to get the ball in is we can throw it in the backcourt. With all that space, Bron's obviously a great passer in that situation, and Dennis has the speed to do that. But we have defined spaces where we want to put guys in that type of action to get it in.
What do you think was the biggest difference tonight, Frank?
I think a lot of guys contributed. I think it was a team win. You know, it was far from perfect, obviously. You know, our defense was, you know, obviously missed AD, probably more on the defensive end even than the offensive end. But we competed. You know, we grinded through it. You know, Zach LaVine obviously started the game, and Kobe White super hot. And we just had a lot of guys, you know, contribute. You know, I thought Alex and Talon off the bench were really good. Duds gives us a big stretch right there. We were contributing with some, or we were struggling with some coverages. Kuz knocked down a couple threes. Keith hit a big three late. Trez obviously was terrific. Braun carried a big load. You know, he and Dennis worked together well in the pick and roll. And you know, Wes got real hot too. You know, in that third quarter, I think he had 4 threes, maybe all in that third. So I think we just, you know, we hung in there. It was we weren't playing our best basketball, second night back to back, but we hung in there, competed, and grinded it out.
Kyle?
Yeah, Frank, you mentioned the back-to-back contributing. Where do you think that maybe, I don't know if the word you use would be fatigue, but where do you think maybe some of those legs of the back-to-back showed up in the game today, and how do you feel like, what were the ways that you felt like guys grinded or sort of competed, especially in the fourth quarter?
You know, honestly, really all the ways I just said. You know, I went through the list of our roster of all the ways our guys contributed, but our competitive spirit and will to win a basketball game, you know, was at a high level. You know, obviously we were 2-3 at home coming into the game. We want to have a winning record at home, obviously, and you know, we just grinded out the game.
Bill?
Hey Frank, it was obviously a different starting lineup with Markieff and Wesley. Just how did you get there, and what kind of inspired that change, and what do you think of it?
Yeah, just managing the roster. I mean, the Wes Matthews matchup was about him being in the Bulls division the last 2 years and getting a lot of reps guarding Zach and the familiarity piece. There's some analytics, you know, based on him doing a good job on Zach, and you know, with Keith it was. You know, it was called minutes in the roster. You know, he's been a little bit shortchanged with minutes and hasn't really had a chance to, you know, to blow it out and get some big run. And you know, obviously he was a huge contributor for us last year in a championship run. So with AD out, it's an opportunity to just get him some extended minutes. You know, because he's someone we believe in, and you know, he had a great performance tonight.
Okay.
Frank, Trez said the other day that you guys just have a free-flowing offense, and everybody's allowed to play their game, play to their strengths, and we're seeing that attitude kind of manifest itself. He had that play late where he put the ball on the floor, finished with contact. Obviously, his numbers have been strong. How much of that approach that you guys have do you feel like is opening up levels to his game that maybe you guys didn't even know when you pursued him as a free agent? And can you speak to his characterization of your guys' offense and system being free-flowing?
Well, you know, we play with a lot of randomness, you know, and we empower our point guard on the floor, whether it's Braun or Dennis or Alex, you know, to call the action, you know, with my ability to, you know, put guys in spots when needed. But we empower our group to, you know, to play with good offensive concepts. You know, as much as anything, you know, the spacing, the screening angles that we want to execute, knowing each other's strengths, you know, whether it's playing through Mark at the top of the key and delay, and knowing that when he has the ball, you know, we're speed cutting all over the place, or if we're going to play in the pick and roll game with Trez, you know, he has that ability to roll the basket or, you know, throw it back and punch it into him in the post. You know, we're just learning each other, you know, and that's part of the randomness, you know, that we want. You know, and guys have seemed to, you know, are getting more comfortable each game in that type of system.